Ocala.
25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. It's a nice-looking Monday out there, but just be aware that the remnants of what used to be Tropical Storm Erica will be reaching us probably this afternoon. And if you're out on a boat, you don't want to be out on a boat because even though it's not a tropical storm, it is rough water out there from what I hear. Looks pretty nice here right now. However, that rain is expected to be here, and it won't be a tropical storm. In fact, we'll be welcome because we need... Well, actually, we don't need the rain as much as South Florida does. But anyway, so it'll just be heavy rain, and that's it. We were really thinking it was going to be worse by now, didn't we? On Friday, looking ahead to today, we thought it was going to be really bad.
Horrible.
All right, so let me tell you something. When I was a much younger guy, I decided I wanted, because I was a musician and I was working in bars, and I didn't make much money, and I heard that you could make more money if you played shows at colleges. And I tried to figure out how to play shows at colleges, and I definitely saw that the college performers were making way more than I was as a bar performer. And so how do you get into this thing? So let me use some figures just so that I'm going to use round figures just to make it make sense. So let's say a performer was getting $1,000 to do a show, okay? Mm-hmm. I said to myself, $1,000? I don't need $1,000 to survive. Mm-hmm. I'll charge $200. That's how extremely different it was from what they were charging from what I was charging, okay? Nobody was hiring me. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, come on, I'm not bad. I'm pretty good at it. Nobody was hiring me. Somebody I talked to said you have to charge $1,000 or more. It doesn't matter if you come down later on. Mm-hmm. It's just that nobody thinks you're good enough if you're only charging $200. Mm-hmm. So I did. I raised it to $1,200. I never got $1,200. I think I got $850. That kind of, mm-hmm. It sounds like a lot, doesn't it? But there's a lot more to it than that in overhead expenses, et cetera. But the point is that I learned a little bit of a lesson about the psychology behind people buying services and goods, probably. It's not the same Walmart mentality in everything. In Walmart, the mentality is the cheaper the better, right?
Yeah.
But even in Walmart, you go, let's say you get a jar of peanut butter, let's say. You might get the Jif because you say, oh, Jif peanut butter is $3 and Walmart brand is $2, but Jif is better. I'll pay the $3.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe there's some. Margaret Neale has actually studied this. She's on the phone right now. She's written a book called Getting More of What You Want: How the Secrets of Economics and Psychology Can Help You Negotiate Anything in Business and in Life. I am all ears with this subject. She has some credentials, just real quickly to tell you about them. She's an Adams Distinguished Professor of Management at the Graduate School of Business at Stanford University. How about that for a credential? She's a researcher focusing primarily on negotiation and team performance. Gosh, I would love to have her with me next time we negotiate something.
Yeah.
Like with the insurance company on my wreck I just had. Margaret A. Neale. Good morning, Margaret.
Good morning, Larry.
Where are you?
I'm actually in Pescadero, California, which is right on the coast, just west of Palo Alto, where Stanford is.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for getting up early to be with us today.
Yes.
So now you have a book, so Getting More of What You Want. Now, with books, it's an interesting thing. You have to charge to sell the book. Although we did have one guy once who had $1,000 book. Remember his whole...
Yes.
But it wasn't worth it.
Had a highlighter in it, too.
It was $1,000 book, and it taught you how to be a millionaire. And basically, it said sell 1,000 books at $1,000 a piece.
And he included a highlighter with it.
Yeah, you got a highlighter with it.
And a pretty box.
So you've been studying this.
I have. And there's a lot to know about negotiating. It's not something that, there are people who are better at it than other people sort of just naturally.
Right.
But it is a skill that everyone can learn and be much better at.
So in radio, we have a lot of salespeople, and some are really good at it, and some are not as good as others. And one time I asked one of the very successful salespeople, how come you're more successful than the others? And he said, my secret is I don't sell. He develops relationships. But how do you develop a relationship and then never, ever sell? Eventually you have to sell. I never even understood this.
Well, I think what he was trying to tell you was that people are much more willing to engage in a sales interaction with someone with whom they have trust. And so what he did was develop the trust in the relationship, and then using that leveraged his ability to negotiate.
Is that why just if you don't mind me using my own experiences in trying to sell myself as a musical act when I was younger, I always nailed it when I was in person. I very rarely was able to make a deal with stuff I sent through the mail.
Well, one of the things that's really interesting is that depending upon what the form of interaction you take, right, it turns out that when people don't have much power, actually face-to-face negotiations are much better.
When you don't have
really?
much power.
Yeah. So, and you weren't very powerful back then, so it was much better for them to see you face-to-face. If you have lots of power, then actually you do better by being virtual.
Is power a perceived thing? Like, could I pay an advertising agency to make me look powerful?
There are a lot of ways to make yourself appear more powerful in a negotiation. Part of it is to have a real good understanding of what your alternatives are. That's a really big part of power in negotiation. What happens if you can't reach a deal in this interaction? How bad off are you? So how desperate were you as you were trying to pitch your musical opportunity? How desperate were you? Did you really, really, really need a job, or did you just have lots of jobs, and this was just another one that would be in your schedule?
And that's the better way, the latter of the two descriptions.
Well, the latter, people can, even if you don't tell them you're really desperate, you often act non-verbally really desperate, and people can figure that out.
Really? But it has nothing to do with the service they're going to get? I mean, you would think that they wouldn't care whether you had a lot or not. If you had what they wanted, they'd probably have no problem just paying for it.
Well, I think that would be true if they were very confident that they were able to assess the quality of the service, right? But for most people, what we do is we look around and say, well, it's called social proof. We look around and say, do lots of other people think the service is good? Just like the Jif example. Do lots of other people buy Jif? Yes. Fewer people buy Walmart. Maybe Jif is better. Look at all those other people buying it.
Can the person who's selling the business, can they make a pest of themselves? How do they know how far to take it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Absolutely. And that's part of one of the things that I focus on with my colleague Thomas Lease, who is my co-author in the book. What we focus on is really to frame negotiations not as sort of a win or a lose, and that's really sort of the very common perspective that people take in negotiation, but rather to focus on negotiation as problem solving, but with a particular solution in mind, a solution that makes me, the focal person, the one initiating the negotiation, better off than I would be given my alternatives, better off than the status quo. But I have to always be very conscious of the fact that there's no command and control in negotiation. I can't force you to say yes.
No.
I've got to present proposals to you where you believe it's in your interest to say yes. And if you take that problem-solving perspective, it turns out that it becomes much more difficult for people to get irritated with you when you negotiate, because how can you be upset with someone who's trying to help you solve your problem?
And that's great, because I've always thought of this, any negotiation, that both people are getting something they truly want. Mm-hmm. My mechanic just did a segment with us in the half hour before this one, and when my car needs mechanical help, mechanical work, I have no problem paying him to fix it because I need the car fixed.
Right, exactly.
So
and you trust that he will do a good job.
Right.
He's solving a problem.
So the subtitle says in business and in life.
Yes.
Talk about the life part, if you could, just a little bit.
Well, we have the opportunities to problem solve in this kind of negotiation way all the time, and so it's not just in contracts, but my husband and I, we've been married for 30 years. We negotiate all the time. We try to problem solve, right? And I think about what's a good outcome for him and what's a good outcome for me. Your children, that's certainly a group with whom people negotiate a lot, and oftentimes your friends. Simple things that may be sort of like, well, how do I really want to go play tennis today. How do I get my friend to want to do that as well? And if you think about negotiation, problem solving, getting people to move in directions that unintervened they might not have gone. And you're in the negotiation domain right then.
But when you talk about doing that type of thing, especially with children, it doesn't look to them like you're negotiating. It looks to them like you're the parent and you're saying, okay, we're going to do this now.
Well, but you might actually have your child says, I want X. I want to do X, right? I want this game. Mm-hmm. And you say, well, that's a very expensive game. How can we think about paying for it? And that's a negotiation. One of the things I think is really interesting, I want to sort of pick up on your point, they don't see it as negotiation. Recently somebody asked me who was the most famous negotiator I knew, the best, absolute, without doubt, the most amazing negotiator I'd ever met. And I said, what's really interesting is you're probably looking for a big famous person's name. I said, but really good negotiators, you never know you're negotiating with them. Because if you knew you were negotiating with them, most folks would then develop a great deal of presence and try to make sure that the other side didn't win because they were going after this. They were going against this really famous negotiator.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so they all develop battle armor, right? And they get ready for strategies. But if you're just trying to solve a problem, nobody's ready to fight. Nobody's trying.
That's true. Absolutely true.
And
Yeah.
It's a real nice frame.
And I think if you represent a product or a service, and you're doing it because you truly believe in it, whatever it is, then you're going to say, let's say you're selling vacuum cleaners, and you truly believe that this is the best one.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that anyway. But you go into something and say, this is really going to make your life better and easier, and the dollar amount shouldn't even matter to you. Can I put you on hold just for a second? We have to take a little break, Margaret.
Sure.
What I'd like to do is kind of put you on the spot a little bit, but I'll give you the break to kind of think about this. I want to ask you to kind of illustrate for us, like give us a little story about somebody who's doing it the wrong way, if you could, and then somebody who's doing it because sometimes the stories help, when you hear a story. All right, so we'll take a little break and we'll find out what I've stimulated in Margaret Neale's mind. I think I just negotiated with her.
I think you did.
We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. A flood watch is in effect through 8 p.m. this evening. Mostly cloudy today and tonight with some showers and thunderstorms around. There could be some flooding downpours. The high today 85 to 89. Tonight's low 72 to 76. Clouds and some intervals of sun tomorrow with a couple of showers and thunderstorms, especially in the afternoon. The high 88 to 92. The Wednesday variable cloudiness with a couple of showers and thunderstorms. High 88 to 92. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Hey, Chip, what's going on? What are you out there hitchhiking? I heard a lot of excitement about a free ride from Ford, and they're right. This is a Ford. Get in, let me explain. Nice ride. Look, first of all, Ford Free Ride is going on at Ford Lincoln of Ocala and Village Ford of Bellevue, and it means 0% financing for up to 72 months and no payments till fall. We're already offering a 2015 F-150 XLT for an incredible $259 per month lease. And now we're offering 0% financing for up to 72 months and no payments till fall. That's right, and there's even more unbeatable offers on America's favorite brand. Head to FordofOcala.com or MyVillageFord.com now and see how you can enjoy your free ride. Great. You can let me on to the next leg. Not all buyers of vehicles qualify for 0 per 72 months financing or red carpet leases. Resident restrictions apply. See dealer for complete details.
Are you wasting hundreds or thousands of dollars on termite retreat fees? If you're not with Turner Pest Control, you probably are. Turner Pest Control offers the industry's only termite and pest control package that never charges retreat fees, ever. You can get started today for only $99. This is a value of $500 or more. This includes treatments, installation of monitoring stations, quarterly pest control, and a lifetime guarantee, all for an unbelievable low $99. Even if you have another pest control provider, visit turnerpest.com to find out how you can avoid paying those high termite retreat fees.
What are the most common questions those nearing retirement are asking? Will I outlive my money? Retirement questions like these and many more will be answered every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement with hosts Francois and Julian Pozenet. Francois and Julian will help you put your retirement puzzle together. Catch Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Ocala's News Talk, The Source 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
All right, 10 minutes before 11 o'clock. This whole topic of negotiating is actually something I've been fascinated with for a very long time. And in fact, with Donald Trump in the headlines every single day, I can remember back when he first published a book called The Art of the Deal, I kind of read it with great interest to see, well, how does somebody like him negotiate it? How can I use that in my own world? And I don't know whether Margaret Neale would approve of his negotiating techniques or not. We'll find out. And we'll go back to Margaret right now. Margaret is on the phone. Getting more of what you want, how the secrets of economics and psychology can help you negotiate anything in business and in life. Margaret, thank you for waiting through the break with us. So give us an illustration, an example, like a story, if you could, of somebody who may be doing it the wrong way.
So a couple of years ago, a colleague of mine got an offer. So I work at Stanford. This is at a different university. He got an offer to go to yet another university, and he was wanting the dean at his current university to match the package. And so he walked into the dean's office, and he said to him, I just got this offer from University X, and if you don't match it, I'm going to take it. Okay? So this is sort of a take it or leave it kind of offer.
Okay.
The dean looked at him and said, congratulations on your new job.
Oh.
Wow. Oh, because he was arrogant.
Well, it's even worse than that. So what he did was, you see, the dean actually wanted him to stay. This was a good faculty member. But the dean knew that if he agreed, that he gave in to this faculty member's ultimatum, do it or else, the news of that behavior would get around to the rest of the faculty, who would then all go out and get new offers and come into the dean and say, match this or else.
Right.
So he wasn't just negotiating with this one person. He was negotiating with a whole bunch of people who were about to stand outside his office if, in fact, he capitulated. Right?
Okay, that's very smart.
He didn't think, this particular faculty member did not think about what was in the interest of the dean. So, same dean, same situation, different faculty member, walked in and said, because she had also gotten an offer from a very good university, and she said to the dean, I need your help. And he said, what? And she said, I have this offer, and she showed it to him and said, this was an offer that I did not solicit. They asked me to interview, and they've made me this offer. But my problem is I really want to stay here. Can you help me figure out a way to stay? And the dean did.
Really? And he didn't think to himself, gosh, everybody else is going to do the same thing to me?
No, because in this case, you see, she didn't say do it or else. Because if he had said, look, I can't go, I don't have any additional resources, she could still go or leave, but she hadn't made like I'll do it or else. And so the dean now was given the opportunity to help a valued faculty member find a way to stay at the university, rather than seeing it as a gun to his head.
Wow. Do you know, I was in an accident on Saturday, so now I'm thinking about what the insurance company is going to be saying to me. And I went back in my mind to the day I sat across the desk from the insurance agent and listened to their sales pitch. And they were negotiating with me to buy the insurance and the different insurance products, right?
Yes.
And in my mind, I don't know this because I haven't had this experience before. But everybody always tells me these horror stories about when it's time to cash in on your insurance stuff. That they're not necessarily as gracious as they were when they were offering it to you. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if I need to figure out how to negotiate. I'll be gentle. I'd love to stay with this company, but
exactly. The point is if you have alternatives, you have much more influence in the interaction. And if you're feeling like this is the only option I have, then you're going to behave very differently. You're going to have lower expectations. You're going to accept less.
And that's a very keen observation, because a person should do research on the thing that they are going to negotiate, but they shouldn't do so much that they pretend they know everything, and then they could be trapped that way too.
Well, I think one of the things that people do in negotiations, and this is one of the real challenges, is people are actually thinking about negotiations almost like it's improvisational. right? I'll just go there and, I'll just respond to what they say.
Yeah.
And what really distinguishes successful negotiators from their less successful counterparts is the quality of their planning and preparation. So you really need to understand not only what you want, what's good for you, what's the point at which you're going to walk away, but also you need to understand your counterpart. Part of what the faculty member in the first situation didn't understand was that the dean was not just negotiating with him, but with every other potential future faculty member.
Right.
So he put the dean in a position where the dean's only choice was to tell him to go away.
Oh my gosh.
You have to sort of think about what's going on in the head of my counterpart. Because remember, they have to agree willingly to come along with you on this journey.
Do you know, in a way, the radio stations and TV stations sell the liaison between a seller and a buyer, and the liaison is called a commercial. And so that 30-second ad that they hear that the listener hears on the radio is actually the seller trying to negotiate in some way.
Well, it's certainly, it is very much third party, right? So it's very, very separate. It's trying to influence, but it is not something where there's a sort of a offer and counter offer kind of thing. Until the potential buyer actually gets to the seller's place of business and says, then there might be an actual negotiation. But part of what you're trying to do with ads is get people into the store, get people into the company.
How do you stay true to form without becoming emotional? Because sometimes when I become emotional, reason flies out the window.
Well, what's interesting is a lot of folks think that the best way to negotiate is to be poker-faced, right? To never let them see you sweat. And it's certainly true that you don't want to be out of control, right? We've all been in those emotional states where as you suggested, rationality flies out of the window. But the use of emotions is really important in negotiations for two reasons. One is it tells us, the people experiencing the emotion, how we feel about something. There's some really interesting research that looks at individuals who have had their parts of their brains damaged through either trauma or stroke, and who can no longer feel emotion. Their cognitive capacity is still intact. And one of the things that seems to be true about those particular individuals is it's very hard for them to make a decision because they keep thinking about all the possible opportunities, and because they haven't got the emotional component to tell them what they prefer, what feels good, it becomes increasingly difficult for them to make a choice.
How about the limited window of opportunity? If you go to a car dealer, for example, he might say to you, well, you came in at a good time because we've got this special going on right now, but it ends on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of, because darn well there's going to be another window of opportunity next week.
Yeah.
But still they use that almost every single time.
Deadlines. Deadlines are very effective because people begin to focus on how do I get a deal, not the important question, how do I get a good deal?
I need to read this book. It's called Getting More of What You Want, and we've got less than 2 minutes, Margaret. Do you have a website for the book?
We do. It's called gettingmoreofwhatyouwant.com.
Oh, that's easy enough.
And the book is available in bookstores everywhere. So.
And did you have to negotiate with your co-author, Thomas Leaf? Did you two sit down and say, I'm getting 50, you're getting 60, or 40 and 60?
Well, we've actually been working on this book for a long time. We do research and negotiation, and so we have negotiated many things. But one of the things we didn't negotiate, because we have an ongoing, long-term professional relationship, we decided that the benefits from the book would be split 50-50.
That would make sense, right?
When you do all this research to try to get the other person to bend towards your idea, what do you look at? Do you look at the human component, or do you look at facts and figures to present?
Well, it turns out that, facts and figures are important, but they are nowhere near as powerful as how you present information, how you present yourself, how you present your alternatives. And, there's a lot of research that suggests that people make decisions on whether they're going to trust you or not in the first, 5 seconds of the interaction. And that's long before they can actually assess, the quality of what you're trying to say.
That's interesting stuff. Margaret, thank you so much for being on the air with us today. The book is called Getting More of What You Want. The website, gettingmoreofwhatyouwant.com. And I'm guessing it's available where all good books are sold.
It is.
Thank you, Margaret. We'll be right back.
Mall Studios. This is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. Shannon Miles, accused of killing Harris County, Texas Sheriff Deputy Darren Goford at a gas station Friday, arraigned on murder charges today.
The incident outraged enough people in the Houston suburb to start marching.
It means that people do respect the police. They need the police to protect them, their property, their children.
Goforth was a 10-year veteran. The chief prosecutor is personally taking the case.
Fox Radio's Evan Brown. Thousands gathered at a Sunday service to honor 3 firefighters who died fighting a wildfire in Washington State August 19th. Mary Sajak lost her son.
Every moment of Andrew's life is precious to me. To tell you anything would require me to tell it all, and that would take almost 27 years.
Tom Bachevsky and Richard Wheeler were also killed. Police in Spain say 4 people are hurt, 4 others missing after an explosion at a fireworks factory in the northeastern part of the country. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Last Friday, Allison Cohn made her status FBF to a pic of me as a pipsqueak. Awkward. It got 59 likes and 12 comments. Impressive, Allie. Geico also has a comment on your Flashback Friday. Did you know Geico has been saving people money on car insurance for over 75 years? Bet you didn't even know they made cars back then. And if you think your flashback is awkward, you should see our pic. Hashtag blurry. Hashtag over 75 years of savings.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Sweet memories fill this place. Can't wait to get a taste. Come on home.
Labor Day is almost here. And what better way to celebrate than with Eckrich smoked sausage on the grill? Come on home to the savory smokehouse taste of Eckrich smoked sausage, bringing families together for over 120 years.
The love is waiting, so come on home.
Come on home to Eckrich.
It's time for Farm and Ranch headlines on the Southeast AgNet. I'm Tyron Spearman reporting. On the peanut scene, peanut specialists are advising farmers to allow their peanuts to remain in the ground if stems were strong and the peanut plants were healthy till after the storm passes. We visited the I.C. Terry farm in Lake City, Florida last Thursday, and digging has not begun of the peanuts for the new crop. A stop at the Kelly Fillman 83 Farms near Bell, Florida, was busy with about 14 peanut combines working in harmony, loading trucks and shipping late Friday and Saturday in preparation for the arrival of the storm. Georgia farmers in southwest Georgia said they were busy combining the last few ones before the storm arrived, but they said, we need the rain, we're dry, and if it's not too much, it'll help making the digging process a little bit easier.
Attention farmers, you could be eligible for technical and financial assistance under a program offered by the Natural Resources Conservation Service. The Conservation Stewardship Program is now accepting applications. To learn more, visit your local USDA Service Center.
Following the success of last year's series of The Journey of a Peanut Butter Jar, the National Peanut Board announced they're going to launch a new multi-million-dollar educational series for consumers entitled The Voices of Peanut Farming. The series highlights America's peanut farmers and explores